In this video, let's talk about the double standards of Western media on the Palestinian debate. This is a commentary on the Western media narrative when engaging in the Palestinian issue, and not a debate on the actual topic. There really shouldn't even be a debate. #Free Palestine. Let's address this step by step. Biased introductions. Interviews with pro-Israelis versus pro-Palestinians start differently.
Well, I'm joined now by Israel's ambassador to the UK, Zippy Hotovely. Ambassador, thank you for coming in. It's heartbreaking.
It is.
Just to hear one mother, and there are so many, there are 100. Well, I'm joined now by Yuval Noah Harari. Yuval, thank you very much indeed for joining me. I wanted to start on a personal note. I understand that you had family members at the kibbutz when these horrors were unfurling on October the 7th. How are they? And tell me about what they experienced. I just want to start on a slightly serious note, but we can't ignore this extraordinarily sad, horrible story that's come out of Israel. What do you make of this?
It's barbaric.
Pro-Israeli are met with condolences, support, and empathy. Now let's take a look at the other side.
Bassam, it's great to have you back on the program. I wish it was under different circumstances. First of all, what is your reaction to what happened on October the 7th? Ambassador, thank you very much indeed for coming in. I do appreciate you taking the time, particularly at a time like this, to come to the studio. You were very active on Twitter from the moment that this hospital was hit. You said it's a massacre. Hundreds are killed in an Israeli strike on the hospital. Hundreds of medical staff taking refuge. How long will it take to stop these atrocious war crimes? You then said waiting for UK government condemnation of this atrocious act of mass murder after being directly hit by an Israeli airstrike. And you carried on. Welcome back to Piers Uncensored, live from New York City. Well, British Iraqi rapper and pro-Palestine activist Kareem Dennis, better known as Low Key, has been a powerful and influential pro-Palestinian voice before and during this conflict. The official version of his track Terrorist was taken off YouTube after the Hamas attacks on October the 7th. Listen, I appreciate you coming on. Explain to me why you consider me a stenographer for the Israeli government.
Pro-Palestinians are shown no empathy and are quickly interrogated, then asked to condemn Hamas. Western media has chosen a side to feel empathy for, and has chosen its villain. In case it isn't obvious, Arabs are the usual suspects.
All right, you all know the drill. When your number is called,
Same shit. Different news anchor.
Understand? Number one.
Bias labels. In the Ukraine-Russia conflict, Ukrainians are labeled resistance fighters. Western media support them. Western politicians support them. Celebrities support them. When Palestinians are bombed and they fight back, they are terrorists. Western media condemn them. Western politicians condemn them, and celebrities are silent.
It's hard to look at what he's doing in Ukraine, what his forces are doing in Ukraine, and think that any ethical, moral individual could justify that. It's difficult to look at It's difficult to look at some of the images and imagine that any well-thinking, serious, mature leader would do that. So, I can't talk to his psychology, but I think we can all speak to his depravity.
This is war. It is combat. It is bloody. It is ugly, and it's going to be messy. And innocent civilians are going to be hurt going forward. I wish I could tell you something different. I wish that wasn't going to happen, but it is going to happen.
Digital censorship. Instagram banned pro-Palestinian accounts and removed pro-Palestinian posts. Palestinian content is being silenced. Meta is responsible for this targeted and racist censorship. But the truth will not be stopped. Anti-Semitism. Any criticism of Israel wrongdoings are immediately called anti-Semitic. Let's be clear, criticizing Israel's policies of genocide. Killing children and illegal occupation is not anti-Semitic. It is a criticism of Israel and Zionism, not Jews. Many Jews are also critical of Israel and its genocidal policies. How can Jews be anti-Semitic? This is a label and rhetoric they have always glued on Arabs and pro-Palestinian voices that speak against Israel. To silence them, they will no longer be silenced. Worldwide blowback on pro-Palestinian voices. Pro-Palestinian voices, including Jews, Christians, non-Arabs, are censored, fired, labeled as hate speakers and terrorists, arrested in peaceful protests, and not allowed to wave the Palestinian flag. These incidents have been reported in USA, France, Germany, Canada, and UK, countries that fund the Israeli terrorist state and the ongoing genocide of Palestinians. Language and dehumanization.
Since Hamas first launched its attack on Israel, it saw 1,400 people killed. Since then, Palestinian officials say that more than 4,000 people have died in Gaza.
I just want to say, before I continue talking about what's happening, when you first introduced what's happening, you said more than 1,400 people have been killed in Israel and more than 4,000 in Palestine have died. I think language is really important to use, because language, as a journalist, you have the moral responsibility to report on what's happening. Palestinians don't just die, they get killed. They are actually being subjected to ethnic cleansing, to genocide for the last 75 years.
Language used by Western media differs when describing the Israelis versus the Palestinians, intending to victimize Israel and also dehumanize Palestinians. The framing of the question is manipulative to push neutral viewers towards a particular bias, losing all objectivity. Dehumanizing Palestinians must stop. Shame on the Western media for manipulating the masses. They show no empathy to their guests whose family members have been killed. Then they ask them to condemn Hamas. Condemnations.
I'm going to be even ahead of you, because I see the question coming. Do you condemn Hamas?
You're not prepared to condemn Hamas, but they don't say a word about the Hamas attacks that precipitated it. So just for the record, do you condemn what Hamas did that day? I've got to say, I really struggle with anyone who just cannot have the humanity to start by saying what happened on October the 7th was appalling, an outrage. Do you feel it was?
I think Palestinians are tired of that being the starting point constantly, when right now there are 6,000 Palestinians who have been killed in Gaza, over 2,500 of them children.
When will they ask people to condemn Israel? Especially when every Israeli attack has been a worse terrorist attack than the one on October 7th.
This graph, for example, this is the death of Israeli and Palestinians, and it's changing from 1 year to year. It's like fluctuating like crypto.
22 Arab states, including mine and my government, have condemned targeting civilians from all sides. The one missing condemnation is from Israel. I haven't heard any Israeli official condemn. I haven't heard anybody asking them to condemn.
Make the dialogue different, to make clear to people here and maybe in Israel who lost relatives that you offer your condolences and you think that was wrong. I just want you to be clear about that without the complications.
I offer my condolences?
Yes.
To civilian lives? Of course.
Okay.
You know, let me have a follow-up sentence here. This is not about the answer. Our answer has been there for 30 years. This is about the question. And that's what we are trying to challenge. The question insinuates that our lives matter less. The killings in the West Bank has been happening all over last year and this year. Record numbers, house demolition, records numbers.
I want to come to that.
And this conversation never happens until Israelis are harmed. You bring us here and you say, do you condemn? Do you sympathize? Do you feel with them? This is the asymmetry, the imbalance that we need to address.
I haven't asked you to
our lives matter.
I have not asked you to
especially for a person like you, Trevor. All human beings are equal.
The double standards of Western media must stop. Journalists are supposed to be ethical and objective, but Western media has failed at this. Even Piers Morgan, who has used such manipulative methods, has been better than others by allowing pro-Palestinians voices to be heard, giving them a platform. But it is high time for change. Let's be better. Speak up against the hypocrisy of Western media and politicians. The public narrative is shifting and people are waking up to the truth. Is it not time for Western media and politicians to realize this?
The thing is, this is the problem. Israel always victimizes itself, and I have never seen a victim putting their oppressor under siege and bombing them 24/7. Israel wants you to believe that they are the victim. Dealing with Israel is so difficult. It's like being in a relationship with a narcissistic psychopath. He fucks you up, and then he makes you think it's your fault.
All right,
you look
Bassem.
at Israel as Superman, but they're really Homelanders.
Bassem.